Hello and welcome to Dremel Live UK. I'm Chris.
And I'm Katie, and we're here today to talk about Dremel.
Who else have we got on the line? Well, we've also got our Dremel nerd, Andy, on the Q&A at the back. Hi, Andy.
Hello. If anyone has any questions, put them in the chat and I'll relay them to the team or answer them within the chat themselves.
Okay, so we have done some Dremel lives in the past. We did a few, well, quite a few actually, with our makers in the UK. Our Dremel expert Andy was used to do those, hosting a few live stream chats where I used to get together with all the makers, talk about projects, talk about what they like about the tools and how they're using them. We decided to do something slightly different with the Dremel Live UK format. Now, this is something that we've done for some of the other brands that we're involved in, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But we found that basically that format really useful. Yeah. So what we're going to do, Katie, as we already know, is we're going to have a look about obviously doing a Q&A session. So we want everyone to be involved. So whoever's in the chat, we're going to learn new people. So we're going to make a nice new Dremel community. And hopefully you guys are going to become regular visitors to the Dremel Lives. Yep. So we have a Q&A element, obviously, but you're going to, I think it's probably good because maybe some people out there aren't very familiar with the Dremel brand. So maybe we should do the history of Dremel, maybe?
Yeah, we'll be going through the history of Dremel, Albert Dremel himself, and the making of the infamous rotary tool.
Right. We thought also, if we're going to talk a little about history, we thought we'll dig out some of our tools from the archive, so to speak, so we can show some of the older tools that generally I still use.
We'll as old as me, probably.
Probably getting close to your age. Yeah, that's true. Making me feel my age. We are going to obviously look at the Rotary Tool Range. We'll use a couple examples, but really we want to divide this session into two sections as well. We want to have a look at the corded Dremel machines, and we've also got a really excellent range of cordless Dremel tools that we could also look at. Now, because we don't want to spend all day talking about everything. We could spend literally hours talking about everything Dremel. Yeah. But we will touch on a few things on a top line perspective. So we'll look a little bit at the accessories, and we'll also have a look at some of the tool-based accessories as well. So the onboard tool, I said tool-board accessories, yeah, exactly. Okay, so before we get going, I don't know, Andy, have we got anyone in the chat yet to start us off with, or is it a bit slow? How are we going?
We've got 12 people in watching, but no one asking questions.
No one asking questions yet. That's fine. Trust me, as soon as we get into this, I'm sure we're going to get some interested people asking some questions. So, Katie, you've already teased us. History. So where did we all start off?
Right, so let's get into it. So the man behind Dremel is Albert Dremel. Originally, back in US in the 1900s, he came with big ideas, little money, and over 50 patents of all the different innovations that he came up with, such as electric razors. He even had razor blade sharpeners, but the one that stuck was definitely Dremel, which he co-founded in 1932.
Now, strangely, this applies to quite a lot of other tools. Say, for example, where I'm more familiar in most cases, which is professional power tools, you'll have things like a skill saw. And I know, and obviously a skill saw means a circular saw, but people still refer to it by that name, okay? You've got other things like the Dremel, and people say any small rotary tool, they'll often just call it a Dremel, even if it isn't actually a Dremel brand. So it's so well established, these small rotary tools, you know, that it really made that a type of product. Now, you may have seen my face, and maybe sometimes you might see my colleague Danny's face on the internet every now and then. I might be familiar with the Bosch brand, and that's relevant because in 1993, that's when Dremel was officially acquired by the Bosch Group. And obviously that brought Dremel like really globally to the market. When it comes to like the innovations, I think quite a few more things happened in the 30s, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. So around mid-1930s, Dremel introduced the Moto saw, which was the first handheld speed rotary tool. Now, this actually was first of its kind and a lot more compact than a lot of the other options available at the time. And due to it being more versatile and as not much a bulky tool, it was a product leader until new tools needed to make way for more detailed work.
Now, and that sums up what Dremel is to me personally, because I own quite a few Dremels. I've got some of the older ones. Obviously, I've got access to the new ones. And I always need a Dremel to do just those small difficult jobs, whether it is sanding, not as much engraving, but I do engrave some of my products, some of my tools, but it is often doing things like boring out to get larger diameters, cutting. Now I could access a whole wide range of different kinds of power tools, like angle grinders and things like that, okay, from the professional or the DIY Bosch range. But sometimes and often I just need a small little tool to get into a really difficult spot and do that application, and the Dremel works wonders for that. So when it comes to the product range, we've already kind of teased, we're going to do a top line introduction to Dremel. We've decided to focus on the rotary tools because, as Katie's pointed out, that's where it all started. But within the entire range, I'm under the belief, if you include accessories and tools and tool accessories,
over 200 tools and accessories, and that's not even including the extended attachment and all the other options that we have for home improvement and DIY, craft, everything really.
Now, it would be interesting. So if you are in the chat, feel free to let us know if you are a maker or whether or not you're like a DIY, or maybe actually you might even use some of these Dremel tools in a professional capacity, because we've said, look, these are great for home improvement, but we know people that even use this for the aerospace engineering industry. So Danny and I were literally talking this morning about like a very old inquiry where someone was asking whether or not a Dremel tool is suitable to use in a nuclear reactor. So we know that Dremels are being used in weird and wonderful places, but again, it's that flexibility to use these tools in all manner of spaces. Now, we decided, or you decided, didn't you, that you wanted to do a little bit of a throwback, because there are some tools here that are probably older than you. I'm a little older, but I obviously fondly remember some of these tools. So we've got a few examples from, say, the mid-2000s, and I've got one example here. So I'm going to hand this to you.
Yeah, so we have the 7.2 volt. It was one of the first cordless Dremels that we came out with. Now, this was definitely more for freedom, with people with creative minds, just because of how compact it was, and it kind of provided a solution in terms of how simple it was, and in terms of giving more mobility, and the power was just the right amount for people that were doing crafts or just certain DIYs around the house that didn't require long batteries that lasted a long time, really.
I mean, obviously, prior to this, they were all corded machines, and that's good. Corded is great because you've got like unlimited power, but you're always limited by the cord, which can get in the way sometimes. So this was one of the biggest innovations. I mean, this is running, I think it was NiCad. So this predates lithium-ion technology. So you have your little 7.2 volt battery. Okay, and you've just had a low speed and a high speed, and obviously an off button there. Now, when we look at some of the newer products, you'll see that we have kept the design language of Dremel the same. So you could have, I don't know how far back we can go, but I imagine we can go pretty far back into the history of Dremel, and you can see that they've all had the same kind of user functionality. I call it UI, but it's basically everything's the way you'd expect it. You'll have your spindle lock here, you'll have your control wheel here for your speed settings, for example, and that will stay consistent even where the battery placement is. This is all how it basically hasn't changed. One unique thing about the 7.2 when it first came out, that was actually the first machine that came out. Now let's see if the overhead camera works. I have an example here of our little multi-chuck. So probably hard for you to see on there, but it's a very, very small 3-jaw chuck, as opposed to what we normally have is a little collet. So Dremels typically use a collet like that, but this machine came and it had the first multi-chuck innovation with it. So we'll talk about the multi-chuck on one of the newer products, but it was important to point out that the 7700 or the 7.4 volt machine was the first machine to come out with that multi-chuck. Now, looking at probably a more classic machine, this is definitely something that I've definitely used.
Yeah, you said you recognised this one.
No, I've definitely had one of these before. Okay, so again, in the mid-2000s, we had the Dremel 300 series. We marked this as the new generation of products, and it was supposed to bridge the gap between the older, and we could call it simpler models. Okay, and we wanted to have something more advanced. This machine does bridge the gap between things we'll be looking at later, like the Model 4000 series, for example. This was my go-to choice for any rotary tool applications.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a hobbyist tool. I mean, it uses plenty of different applications, accessories, and something that I really like about this one is that it has the soft touch. So it gives better comfort when you're using it compared to earlier models as well.
Yeah, it's you can visibly see obviously this grey bit here is a nice soft touch material. It did make the tool very comfortable to use. It had a variable speed wheel here from off all the way up to the maximum RPM of 35,000. Okay, but it went as low as 5,000, and you'll see that's a feature that we maintain in all our modern, I argue, probably our all-rounders as well as our top-end Dremel machines. So really great functionality on this 300 model. Now, I don't want to spend too long on this because, again, we just want to quickly talk about, see how there's lots has changed with Dremel, but a lot hasn't, and a lot of it's stayed the same. And it's maintaining that very familiar feel and usability of these tools. Now, you mentioned the 7.2 volt machine.
Yeah.
And obviously, a little later in the 2000s, we came out with the Micro. So this...
The 7.8.
This is our, I guess you could call it 7.2, but now this is lithium ion.
Yeah.
I think we may have called it 8 volt back then, but either way, 7.2 lithium ion battery technology. So now we're looking at cordless, but with the advantages of lithium ion technology. Nowadays, we don't have to explain to people why lithium ion is a benefit. It's the normal, it's basically the standard. But back in the day, everyone was still kind of using, there's still a lot of NiCad and nickel metal hydride batteries out there. Lithium ion really changed the way. Functionality, a little bit different. We've got the speed selector, you've got your on-off button, but we still retain the same spindle lock here, and we're still using the same collet that we had before. It's even still got charge. And I like the fact you see nice little LED array on the front there. So this was a really great tool for us back. I say back in the day, it's not that long ago. It's 10 years ago-ish.
Yeah, well, 2014 when this came out, and the LED light was definitely a great advantage for better accuracy. Another thing that I really like about this is it's almost quite similar to one of the newer ones that we have, the Stylo, which is its pen-like form, and it's great to hold if you're using it for either detailed engraving. It's just a lot lighter than some of the other models.
Yeah. You nailed it on the head there. The fact that obviously with some of the rotary tools like this, which is more multifunction, but then we were obviously starting to go more and more towards these pen-like, very fine, delicate tools. And the Micro was probably, I think it was probably one of the first tools to go in that direction.
And look at the great case it came in as well. I feel like you can just take that anywhere.
I mean, lithium ion, yeah, you had a great level of functionality on that. And that's, we're just talking about the tools here. Wait till we get into the accessories and you'll see there's so many things you can do with a Dremel. Okay, so what we could do, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the current range of rotary tools, maybe what we'll do quickly is we've got a little video that we'd like to play. I think this is a Makers video, is that right?
Yeah, so this is just to give you a brief overview of the type of people that like working with Dremel and some of our favourite makers that we've worked with in the past. So, yeah.
A maker is a born storyteller. The tools we use determine the shape of our story. Every maker's story is different. Something the maker of makers, Albert J. Dremel, knew all too well. Whether you're a builder, an inventor, an experimenter, or a teacher, you choose the tools to shape the story that enriches your life. During your journey, discover new skills to make it rare and wonderful. Learn to recognize the details that make a difference. But above all, enjoy the subtle progress, the release of energy, or the satisfaction after a job well done. Enrich yourself. Fill your head with creative ideas. Set a challenge and embrace. Dream big and dare to fail. Enrich the world. Try to inspire those around you and connect. Listen to how they would shape the future. Give them the confidence to form those innovative ideas through their hands. Make life extraordinary. Make it last. How do you enrich your life?
I think that video sums it up pretty well. We'll talk a little bit about different kinds of users again, but I mean, we don't want to pigeonhole Dremel users too much because it's a really wide, really broad group of users that would use these tools. Anyone who needs when you look at the accessories, you'll see that it's a whole wide range of different people can use Dremel tools. It's not just professionals, it's not just DIYers, and you'll see with many products that we are really, really looking at like engaging with and basically giving creative people that ability to do whatever they want.
Well, it's an outlet really, and it's there to facilitate anyone that wants to get hands-on and kind of be creative with a rotary tool like Dremel.
It's not, and the age thing as well. This can be for really young people to really old people as well. That they might not have the same.
Panning over to me, really
young people and really old people. It's one of these tools that it really bridges right across different age and demographics, not just trades, not just different kinds of hobbies. It's a great all-rounder. Now, we're going to be talking about rotary tools for sure. Okay, that's what today's episode is going to be about. We will take the opportunity, if you ask us to, of course, to have a look at some other tools. But it is important, at least in this first ever live stream where we're talking about Dremel from a top line perspective, we should talk about some of the other things we do. And you've got a couple of examples. Yeah. Because with rotary tools, sure. All right, electrical power tools, but we've also got butane.
That's not all, that is not all. So we actually have some butane tools, which are actually really popular among people like jewelry makers that use it for soldering, or people that like to do pyrography, which we have here. We have the VersaTip, which is a multifunctional soldering iron used for precise heat work. We also have here is the VersaFlame, which is a powerful butane torch with an adjustable flame. So yeah, this is really popular for metal work, also for jewelry making in some cases.
Make creme brulee with it as well. So yes, it's again really wide range of different kinds of uses. So butane, that's one type. But if we go back to electrical tools, there's lots of different types, and not just rotary tools. We've got some sanders, we've got some like kind of multi-tools. We've also got little saws as well. So there is a wide range of different products. We've even got glue guns. So there's plenty of lots of things within the Dremel range outside of just the tools that we're talking about today. Okay, so, well, we got a big range, and we've decided that the best way to do it is to split them between the corded variants and the cordless. However, before we do that, I thought what we could do between the two of us is we could do kind of an orientation. We can talk about, look, here's a good example of a Dremel, okay? This is a 3000 series model, the one that we'll be talking about very shortly. There's a few things, again, I keep mentioning that kind of design language, the thing that always comes across with Dremel tools. We can start at the back. You can see that many of them all had this little hanging hook at the back here. So you could suspend the machine if you want to hang it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with some of the tool accessories that I'll show you in a minute, this was very useful. But even if you just wanted to store the machine out of the way, we had a little hanging hook. Yeah. That, I believe, that is pretty much on the majority of tools. When it comes to the controls, they've always been quite straightforward. This particular model has an integrated control. So you could have the machine is in the off position, and as you slide that wheel, you'll increase the RPM of the tool to get more speed. Okay. On some other machines, you might find there is a dedicated on and off button. Now, this is not the on and off button, so don't press that when the machine is running. This is always going to be your spindle lock, and you'll see it's always, on all the Dremel machines, it's typically going to be up on the top, the high end of the machine, and then that obviously locks the spindle, allowing you to then tighten the collet. They all have a 3.2mm collet. Some of them might have the multi-chuck as well. And then lastly, you've got this thing on the front here. Now, this is on most of the machines, is that right, or is it all of them now? I'm trying to think. The majority of them will have the easy twist.
Yes, so so anyone with the nozzle with the ease twist, you can use to change the collet nut out. Yeah,
I mean, actually, if we're still on the close-up, I'll show. Obviously, when you tighten the collet, you are supplied with a little spanner like this, and obviously use your spindle lock, tighten it down, and then you would use the little wrench to tighten the collet. Now, what happens to me all the time is I lose this, so that's gone, or it's just never where I want it to be. And what we did here, the easy twist, is obviously the ability now to use the actual nose cone itself. Tighten that first. Okay, and then you can loosen that, and you'll see that on the front of the cone, you can actually index that with the collet and use the nose piece itself to tighten that down and then tighten the nose back on there. So If you have your spanner and you've lost it, or you don't want to use it, which is me, I never want to use it, you don't have to worry, because you can always cinch down the accessory using that easy twist. And that's a really great feature that we've got on pretty much everything moving forward. Well, Rotary Tool.
Well, it's great as well because it just shows that Dremel's really passionate about innovation and working on how to improve the tool best for its makers, which is who this is really for.
Last little things that you see quite common on the brush machines. You'll see, obviously, you've got these two little windows on the side. If you cut to a close-up, you'll see two little windows on the side here for your carbon brushes. So if the tool needs a little bit of maintenance work, it's very easy to swap those out. You'll see with some of the newer machines, we've moved on to brushless machines, so they no longer have brushes, so they no longer require that maintenance. But for the existing brush machines, you can do that yourself, it's no problems. Okay, right. So we've mentioned accessories, well, no, we haven't really mentioned accessories. We've talked about changing the accessories via the easy twist, okay?
Yep.
And the collet. But we haven't mentioned accessories, and we have kind of hinted. I think we said almost 200 accessories alone.
There's a very large range of accessories out there. And to go into it a little bit, we actually use a color coding system, which is there to really help make it easier for you when looking for the right accessory for whatever job you may be doing. So say if you were engraving or carving, you would definitely turn to a blue coloured accessory packaging. So now this is one of our power carving bits. We also do for engraving and carving, we do engraving bits, we do carving bits similar to this in different shapes, and then we also do diamond tip bits, which are great for glass etching, things like that really.
Yeah. If you're wanting to do some cutting, you select one of the red accessories. Here's a good example. This one is a cutting disc or cutting wheel. See if this will pick up. So there's the little color coding on the top and the bottom here. And you'll be using this to cut, well, cutting, for example, could mean cutting wheels for metal, wood, plastic, so multi-material. Even have things for, we even have fiberglass reinforced cutting discs. Okay, and we also have easy lock cutoff. The easy lock. So as an example, look here. So you see this one, like the easy speed click. Okay, I'll just take that off quickly. Okay, so this is an example of one of our little bonded abrasives for cutting metal, and with the little easy, yes, the easy speed click. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, and you will see, hopefully, on the close-up camera.
Yeah, so all you do is you pull back the metal part of the accessory easy speed click, and then you can just pop on your cutting disc. And what this is really great for is faster accessory changes. It just speeds up the whole process a lot.
That's right, yes. There are alternative ways of using cutting discs, but this is by far the easiest and fastest way of doing it. So that would be your red accessories for cutting.
Yeah. Then if you are looking to sharpen, or if you're looking for any grinding accessories, you would turn to your green packaging. Now, as you can see here, these are some grinding stones. Now, these ones in particular are actually used in our newest pet grooming kit, the 7350. So great for grinding down dogs' paws or...
Not their paws, I hope.
Just
claws.
Yeah, not the actual paws, just their claws. Yeah, but no. So if you're looking for these, you'll definitely turn to the green packaging. You've also got within the green range, you've got tungside carbide cutting bits as well. You've also got sharpening.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I do a lot of. I don't do as much engraving.
Yeah.
Having used it to engrave tools, for example, but I don't use too much. I really love the diamond tip bits. I definitely do a lot of cutting, and I also do a lot of grinding as well. Something I don't do in my generally, but I definitely should do more of is cleaning and polishing. So with the yellow products, we've got an example here.
Yeah, one here.
Okay, so yellow packaging is for your cleaning and polishing applications. This could be, again, polishing wheels or buffs. It will come, we also do a polishing compound to help to use with it. They might have felt tips, and they also might have something like this, which would be like a stainless steel or a brass brush. So this could be for polishing and cleaning metal. Right, so polishing, then moving on to what do we got? Sanding.
Yeah, moving on to sanding. So what you'll probably use these for, right here you have these sanding bands. Now these will be in purple packaging. You can identify that from either the bottom or the top, which will come on sanding bands, sanding buffs, sanding disc. One of my favourite names that one of our makers have called, they're not here right now, but the sanding buffs look a bit like tumbleweeds. So that's how I identify those. Oh yeah, we've got one here actually. So these will also be in the purple packaging. This is just one of our sanding buffs. They're really great for doing an overall sanding of either wood or metals. Yeah.
And they're quite, I don't know if I use the word delicate, but you can be very sensitive with them.
Yes.
These, some of the, say for example, the sanding bands, these can be very aggressive, whereas something like that gives you a lot more, it's more forgiving, but also it means you can be far more, how do I say it? I want to use the word delicate all the time, but you've got a lot more control.
Yeah, you do, definitely.
Yeah. Now, something you might not believe, we can actually do routing. We've got a little little routing kit here, for example. Obviously, this is a multi-pack, but we also sell them individually. But you can use your Dremel. Freehand might be difficult, but with some tool accessories, you can also use it as a very competent little router.
Yeah, and these even come individually as well. So you don't have to go straight for the whole set. If there's definitely a certain routing accessory that you're after, you can have that separately, which will be in the orange packaging.
Okay, so last few little accessories. We've got a kind of, well, we call it, is it a burgundy? Yeah, we'll go for that.
Sure.
You've gone for like a very like a browny red color. All right, so we do precision drill bits. Again, the Dremel is a really competent drilling machine because it is a rotary tool. So we have quite a good wide range of drill bits. I think we've got much smaller than this as well, to be honest. But yes, a good range of drill bits. And then the last two, we've got some in the black packaging or black labels. We've got things for grout removal. Good example will be something like carbide grout removal bits. We got one?
No, we haven't got any of those, but we can move on and show you where you will find your ease speed click, which will be in grey packaging, along with other things like collets and your multi-chuck and a lot of other easy speed click systems. Not all of them, but some will also be in this colour. Perfect.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we've just spent probably a good, it feels like 5-10 minutes just talking about what types of accessories they are. If you would like us to do a more in-depth deep dive into all the different kinds of accessories, and it is a lot, you know, talking over 100 and something, 150 plus, probably closer to 170 different types of accessories. Maybe we could do a little series where we explore all the different types, and maybe we'll do some demonstrations to show you exactly how to get the most out of it. Now, something that I've always personally discovered, I don't think one of it's the same for you, Katie, is sometimes people say, I want to do X, Y, Z, what accessory should I use? And I find that it's not always like a binary yes, no. It's not always, well, this is the only accessory, this is the only thing you can use. I often tell people sometimes you'll be really surprised when some other accessories does the job that you didn't think it would. Well, I say it's find out in play is what I say. And as long as you've got an accessory that's capable of doing it, I mean, you can make it up as you go along sometimes. You can find out what works better for you. It might not be whatever is the normal way of doing things. And that's one of the things I really like about the Dremel accessory range. It's so wide and it has so much multi-material functionality, you can very rarely go wrong. I mean, you can go wrong, but you'll enjoy and love the experience of learning what you should have done and what you shouldn't have done. Okay, so tool-wise, obviously there are some amazing accessories or we call them tool attachment accessories that can make your Dremel even more functional. And we haven't really talked too much about the actual tools themselves. We've only really mentioned the 3000 model as an example. Now, we mentioned that obviously something like the micro, I'll put the micro somewhere else, haven't I? Oh, put it somewhere. Let's say, for example, a little 7.2 volt machine. Very nice, very handheld. With the 300 perhaps, then maybe I argue that this is a great machine if you're wanting to use it for this kind of action. Yes, you can use it like this, but you might find that it's got a bit more vibration, or maybe the weight's a bit harder, especially if you're doing very delicate work. Yeah,
and especially for longer hours, that can get uncomfortable over time. So
what have we got?
Wow, what we have is the FlexiShaft.
you
Now,
go.
this is actually for more detailer's work, and it's definitely a more comfortable attachment to add on to any multi-tool that has the twistable nose cap. You add it onto your tool and it can go for any of the speed variations depending on whatever tool that you are using. But it's just great for people that want something with a bit more control and want to maintain the same power as the tool that they're using.
Yeah, it's a really great add-on. This is what I was looking for. I was obviously looking for the
Trusty micro.
Yeah, I was looking for the micro as an example to show the fact that we've got our inspiration for the FlexiShaft from something like the micro, because obviously that's really great, very handheld. Okay, and you can see again, it is basically the same size as a bed, to be honest. Now the fitment of it, maybe I'll cut to the other close-up camera for this. You'll see that it's very important to make sure that you have to remove the nose, the easy twist nose, and it's always this accessory here. That's just the bit that obviously sometimes catches some people out. They don't realize there's an additional requirement for this accessory. I guess you could call it a FlexiShaft. Can we call it a collet or adapter?
Yeah.
Which basically means it has to index onto the inside. It's hard for you to show down there, but there's a little spindle in there or a little drive shaft that runs the whole thing, and that has to go into that and then tighten it down. It's important to note that you look here. If you were just to stick it on like that, you would find that it won't necessarily drive, because the shaft won't go all the way in. You need to tighten that down. Now the FlexiShaft is a really great accessory. However, there are other things that I think are really important too. Something like.
Well, yeah, this is one of my favourites too, actually. It's almost got the similar vibe, I'll call it, as the FlexiShaft, but it's definitely one of those attachments that is there to help people wanting to do more detailed work, who need that extra control. Now, this also can be added onto any of the multi-tools that has the nose twist that comes off. So if you pop this on like this, and then you'll attach the top part, you can then use this as that extra comfort guide. Just tighten up a bit more. Extra comfort, and for more detailed engraving, which helps if you're trying to have some more precise work and you want to have more kind of speed control.
Yeah, you mentioned that like say carpenters, for example, they'd use it like a side handle.
Yeah,
for
like
more,
a side
more control. I like it again as obviously this tool is quite large for using like a stylus. And you could maybe, if you haven't got much grip strength, or you get quite tired quite easily, it can get quite tiring after a while, this weight pulling back here. This little grip here means you can hold it like that, and it means that the machine now sits, this rest, this grip here sits quite happily in the soft part of your palm, making it very comfortable and very controlled for those small, delicate movements. So, I mean, there are loads of different types of tool attachments, but these two are probably my favourite.
Yeah.
Now, let me just quickly take this off, because I've got the FlexiShaft all set up now to show you how you need to set it up. Again, a reminder to those who are using it, that obviously you need this FlexiShaft bit, this holder, for example, and obviously in the shaft itself, you've got the drive shaft here, which is obviously basically like a square drive, and that needs to be in this and then attached to the machine. If it's not correctly in, then guess what? Your FlexiShaft is not going to be doing anything. And just like before, in this particular case, you will need your little spanner, because you can't use the easy nose because that can't be on the machine. Okay, tighten that down, and then this all fits back together. One of those things easy to do in your workshop, fiddly to do in a studio. Get it together. And probably hard for you to see on the camera, but there you go. Giving you that flexibility to use that. You can hang this machine elsewhere. Okay, and then you can do all your delicate work, well, I say hands-free, just without the weight of the machine, without the vibration and the noise. You can have that hung somewhere behind you, for example. I really, really like it. As a combo, I think there's very few products that wouldn't work well with having a FlexiShaft just in your back pocket, in the workshop when you need it for those more delicate work. Unless you have some of the smaller machines. Right, so some questions might have popped up.
Yeah.
So Andy, we've made it too easy for you. It's been a bit quiet over there, but you've got some questions, is that right?
We do have some questions. The first one from John Ritson. Your host mentioned the drill bits. Do you need the chuck for those items, or is the standard collet fine?
I mean, Andy, you're very welcome to answer that question for me. You're the Dremel expert. Well, I mean, I have got them as an example, the multi-chuck, sure. If the drill bit's small enough, it will fit in the collet, but it won't do a very good job, to be honest. So I'd recommend always using the multi-chuck. I'd be very surprised if you can, even for the smaller diameters, the inside of the collet is not designed to hold a drill bit. Anything else, Andy?
Just to add to the ones that you showed, the wood drilling drill bits, you can use those with the standard collet, but the precision drill bits, which are the small silver ones, which I don't think you guys have on there, Chris is right, you'd be better off using a multi-chuck. You can get collets for them, but personally the collets, they don't have the size written on them, so it's quite easy to lose them and not figure out which one goes with which.
Yeah, in fact, even on the packaging it shows that the product's got the standard collet. So yeah, correct. But generally speaking, I'm spoiled because I can always use all the bits. I like the multi-chuck. I think it's a really good, strong fit for most of your accessories. And if you don't want to buy Dremel ones, which you should, multi-chuck means you can use any old drill bits. Okay, so anything else, Andy?
Another question from Amigator. Could you see if an attachment will fit the old 300 you have on the desk there?
Which attachment was he referring to?
Anyone will do. I can't remember if you can take the nose cap off on
So if you go to the close-up camera very quickly, because Katie's made it very, you've been quite very clear that most of the accessories require the removal of the nose cone here, because you can see that has to come off. Oh, I have to take the collet off first, but obviously that screws off and then has a screw point. This doesn't, even though it removes there, let's have a look here. I think it's a different size. We got the grip.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. I don't think it will fit. Oh, I stand corrected. There are. I mean, not designed for it. It will cinch down. So, as an example.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, proved here, I guess. If you can remove the nose cap, then you can attach the attachment. So I guess if you have an older tool and you want to work out whether you can attach an attachment, just see if that nose cap will twist off, and then you will know.
Cool. Good to know. Andy.
Last question for the moment is one that you guys probably aren't going to be able to answer, to be fair. My big question is, why can't we get the Dremel 3D printer in the UK? You can still buy it, Mark. We don't personally sell it directly anymore because we found that being a power tools company, 3D printing needed more specialist support behind it. So we still do the 3D printers, but we don't sell them directly. If you check out a company called 3PI, they sell the Dremel 3D printers still. And that's it for the questions.
Yeah, I mean, during this live stream, I'm going to just 100% double check that the FlexiShaft works with the 300. I'm pretty sure it does. And that means your logic works really well, which means if the nose cone comes off, then you're pretty good. Okay, so we've kind of rambled for a good 14 minutes, kind of framing up the Dremel brand. We've kind of shown some of the new products. We spent a bit of time on the accessories, which is good because, to be honest, that's a big part of Dremel. And obviously, it's the accessories are also equally important to make sure the tool is multifunction. But we should have a look at some of the products first. And I think you might have the first one, although I have got an example here of Stylo.
Yeah. So first we have the Stylo. It is definitely the smallest of our corded tools. Now this is perfect for definitely detailed work, such as crafters wanting to do engraving, glass etching, even certain woodwork. It is good for, especially as it's almost like the flexible shaft, but a tool on its own. So it definitely it gives that pen-like feel in your hand, and it's very comfortable to use, isn't it? I mean, how are you finding it?
I mean, no, obviously, you've got quite a few little areas where obviously this is really good for your first finger, and then you've got like a nice little I guess you could say like a shoulder here.
Yeah.
It really is nice to put your thumb in all kinds of orientation. It feels really comfortable. Control-wise, I think you might have already mentioned it, but it's variable speed. So this one goes down all the way as low as 5,000 RPM, so nice and controlled. So not too high. And then you can go all the way up to 22,000 RPM. So you've got a great amount of control, and it's very easy to adjust that, even on the fly, to be honest. Single on and on, off and on button on the back there. So very straightforward to use, and again, really comfortable. There's not a lot you need to have on this machine. Comes with an integrated multi-chuck. Look, I just popped it on there, but it's happy to accept the standard 3.2 collets on all the other Dremels. So you've got the versatility, but as I said, the multi-chuck I really like because it gives you a lot of flexibility. Other than that, I mean, it's very lightweight. It doesn't weigh anything. It is a corded machine, as you can see. I think it weighs 0.2. It's 200 grams, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's
extremely lightweight. Yeah.
You barely even notice you're holding it, to be honest. Now, when it comes to how we supply the machine, I think we always supply with a little accessory set. Is that right? I think we've got a 15-piece accessory set, so loads of stuff to get going, including that integrated multi-chuck. So if you need a little machine to do little bits of arts and craft, maybe you're using it specifically for engraving, this probably would be the perfect kind of tool for you.
It is definitely more for the crafters out there, and it's one of those tools that you can turn to use for just anything that requires that pen-like form and that comfort.
It's about 9 watts of power, so it's not going to be a heavy duty tool, so this is going to be for your lighter applications. However, if you do want a tool with a bit more power, that's fine, because we've got plenty of them. And I've got the next example of one of the larger, more powerful machines. I would say your good beginner machine is going to be the Dremel 3000. Okay, so now we've gone to a bigger machine.
Yeah, well, this actually came after the 300 series, so you could probably say this is its improvement, and it's probably got all the innovations that you'd want on a newer version of the 300 series.
Yes. So different to obviously the Stylo, which only had the off-on button. This one has a control wheel here to adjust, switch on the machine, and then you've got the ability to adjust the different speed settings from the lowest setting there, which is going to be 10,000 RPM, up to the maximum of 33,000. So again, lots of control, but really great high max RPM. Has the little hanging hook on the back there, really great again if you're going to use it with the FlexiShaft. You've got your spindle lock, and then you've got replaceable carbon brushes. It's got, as you've seen already, the easy twist.
Yeah.
And it comes with, let's pop it back on. Yeah, and comes standard with your normal collet. Now that comes, I think, I have to double check, but I believe this comes with a 15-piece kit. Well, you can get it with things like a 15-piece kit. And again, another great wide range of accessories to get you started. This is what we would probably refer to as a really good beginner's machine. Yeah,
I'd say this is an excellent beginner's tool, and it is definitely one of the most popular first buys within the Dremel series. It's just great for hobbyists, or if you're just doing some here or there jobs. It is very reliable, so it's quite a good go-to, the 3000.
Yeah, now, despite the fact that Katie and I are talking quite a lot about how much we really like the FlexiShaft system, it's about half a kilo, so it's not the worst. So if you do want to use it freehand, you can, without having to expand onto some of the other tool accessories. Very good to hold it in 2 hands. Again, you don't want to, sometimes you want a tool with a bit of girth, so you can use it in 2 hands and have a bit of control, but it's got a nice slim nose here, so you can use it more like a stylus. So we've given that extra functionality because, again, we don't want to limit you to how you use the tool, so we gave you that extra flexibility. Now, the next machine is technically very similar, is that right?
Yeah, so in terms of specs, it is the exact same except for one change, which if I just grab the 3200, is that the housing of the 3200 is 55% recycled material. Now, Yeah, similarly, it is the exact same spec. So everything that Chris has discussed on the 3000 transfers over onto the 32,000. But something that is a really good bonus of the 32,000 kit is that you get a attachment, which is the flexible shaft, which we can't shut up about. It's such a great attachment, and especially paired with the 3000 or the 32,000. So yeah, it's a great combo, and it's really nice that it comes together in this kit.
Yeah, I was going to say, before we move away from showing this kit, we've made it really easy on the packaging. You can see that here's your product, there's your tool accessory, a 90 piece, but important to show, even on the back. So we've tried to make it as easy and as clear for the people purchasing it for the first time who might not be familiar, showing again the color code system. Out of all the accessories you get here, you've got all the different part numbers and what they're used for. And even on the top here, if you can see that. Or we'll cut to the overhead camera. Let's see. The overhead, yep, see, even here.
Yeah.
We've tried our best with the packaging to make it as easy as possible for people to understand all the different things that you can do with this product. And even tells you, it's even nicer, it even shows you on the little chart here saying exactly where it sits in the range. So if you are in a store or online and you want to do a comparison, you've got loads of information here to help you make that decision. So that's a great, great example of the packaging. But with the machine, again, if you are in the market for 300, great. If you want to buy a slightly newer one with recycled plastics, the 3200 is essentially it's basically the machine with the same performance.
Yeah, and again, back to the fact that the 3000 or the 32,000 are great beginner tools. It also shows on the packaging. You know, if you're new to Dremel or you haven't owned a multi-tool before, it is really straightforward to get started, even just by looking at the packaging of your tool.
Now, realised I don't know if have I put an accessory into one
No,
of the Dremels
not yet actually.
So I mean, I could show an example again how really quick and easy it is to pop a simple accessory in. Okay, I've got the collet finger loose essentially. Okay, I open up the collet to make sure I can fit the accessory in. Okay, I want to have a little bit of space. I don't want to have it right at the edge because it might fall out. I don't want to have it too close, otherwise I might grind the edges. I don't want it too close. I want a little bit of space. Now I can tighten that down until it starts to turn the whole thing, and then I want to hold the spindle lock, and then I can tighten it with my finger a little bit, and then I can just use the nose very quickly, cinch that down. It's as simple as that. And that's again another thing I really like about the Dremel products. Really quick and easy. I don't have time to waste fiddling around looking for. Well, I've still got my mini spanner, but I tell you, by the end of this live stream, that's going to disappear. So as easy as that. Now, these are the examples, the 3000 and the 3200 of your good beginner machine.
Yeah.
But we can do a little bit better, can't we? What have we got?
Yes, we can definitely. So just over here. What I'm bringing over now is the 4250. Now, this is definitely our most powerful corded tool. This tool actually is definitely the advancement of the 3000. Again, with the nose cap, and I believe it has a speed of...
It goes up to a maximum of 30,000.
Yeah.
35,000, sorry.
35,000, yeah. So for a corded tool, that is quite impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, 175 watts, so much more powerful. To the previous one, the 3000 was 130 watts.
Yeah.
Now you got to 175 watts, so you've got extra power, especially if you're doing some applications that are a bit more harder, let's say. Say, for example, you're maybe wanting to cut things, or maybe you want to grind material, sand stuff, where you might want to put a bit of pressure on, maybe even polishing to a degree. You might want a little bit more power. We'll use that in the terminology, a bit more torque, turning force. Yeah. So this machine is less likely to get bogged down and potentially stall compared to maybe a cheaper third party or some of the more cost-effective or beginner entry-level machines in our range. Even though, as Katie pointed out, it's got a really good high RPM of that 35,000, it still goes down to a really nice slow 5,000 RPM. So you've got really slow applications. You've got the entire range of customizability on this product. You might have mentioned it already, the speed wheel on the back, or maybe am I just taking over, Katie?
No, go for it. Let's get a close-up.
Let's get a close-up here. You'll see that we've made it nice and easy, the little window on the back here. Actually, let's use the overhead. Sorry, let's use the overhead. It's easier to see that. Sorry. Let's see it, guys. because I realized that you can probably just about see there's a little number there, 5, and you see we've made the speed wheel really straightforward, so you can see that will go all the way up to, as we said, at 35. So that's your 35,000. On this particular model, you can pre-select your speed, and then you can switch the machine on. So this is the first machine that we've seen that has its own dedicated on and off switch.
Yeah.
So it just means you can just get working quicker and easier. Set your speed setting, keep it on that speed setting, and start working with or without the FlexiShaft, for example. Yeah, I mean, it's a great machine. I mean, there's not much more I can say apart from if you need a machine that is more capable. And that's why we call this particular one the all-rounder, because it really does all kinds of work. So in summary, let's get all 3 machines back for a second. I'll grab the other one. So this is your lineup for the corded range. If you are into your arts and crafts, maybe you're doing some detail or delicate tasks, I cannot recommend the DremelStylo Plus enough. If you are maybe a starter or you're getting into things, you're not sure, you cannot go wrong with something like the Dremel 3000 or the 3200.
3200, yeah.
If you are wanting to do something with a bit more performance, or you've got a wide range of tasks, maybe you don't even know what you're going to get into, you can future-proof yourself by investing in a Dremel 4250, because you know it's going to seriously get you out of a lot of trouble, and it's the right product, and it'll meet all kinds of challenges. So really great product. Right. Now, I don't know, did you like, I think we might have a video showing one of our, I think we're going to show a video.
The 4250, so the video will cover the 4250 and one of the makers using it actually.
Let's roll it.
There's a place that I know. People tell you not to go. Yeah, now ain't alright, ain't all wrong. Same as in a place, feeling strong. Yeah, ain't been to Louisiana, ain't been to Mississippi, ain't been to Chicago, no, Texas too, but I don't.
I think maybe they got a little bit of a sneak peek of a different video, a different product, but we got there.
A little teaser, yeah.
We got there in the end. Andy, we had a question come through while that video was running, didn't we?
We do. What is the duty cycle, which I assume means life cycle, for the 3000 versus 4000? I'm going to say 4250. I understand the above may vary depending on load. Yeah,
I mean, this is one of the reasons why I say why someone might want to upgrade to a 4000 over a 3000 is the fact that, you know, the 4000's got so much more power. Remember, that's 175 watts compared to the 130 watts that you've got for 3000. And if you are using your Dremel quite heavily for some of the heavy applications, like with anything, it's always good to spec up to a more powerful machine, because then the machine's it's not working at its maximum all the time. And just like you and I, if we were asked to, I don't know, sprint a marathon, sprint everywhere, eventually we'll get worn out. If in fact it was more like an easy little jog, you could sustain that effort for far longer, and in theory maybe live a little longer as well. So again, if you find the applications that you're doing are really heavy duty or maybe straining a weaker machine, maybe it's a really good option there to spec up to a more powerful machine if you know this beforehand. And that's why I said earlier about with the 4000, the 4250.
The 4050, yeah.
That if you're not sure, but you have an inkling that you're going to do some things that are not just engraving and not just creative, you might want to do a bit of refurbishment or maybe a bit of renovation work with it. Hey, spec up. You might be regretting it later, especially when you want to do something and unfortunately your tool's just not able to do it. So yeah.
So yeah, the 4050 just being the all-rounder really. It's reliable for definitely say if you're carving for long periods of time, or if you definitely need a tool that's gonna be more reliable in terms of the amount you're using it and the power outage.
Yeah, but to answer the question more directly on like, well, how long will a tool last? Again, you've heard it many times, like how long is a piece of string, blah, blah, blah. It really depends on what kind of applications you're using it for. If you're using it for very light work, hey, just like me, that tool is going to last for a very long time. I don't want to quote times, but I've had that, my personal Dremel, I've had it for over 10 years. I don't use it heavily. I'm very nice to it. But has lasted me a really long time. Yeah. Same thing here. If you look after your tools, if you use them within what they're designed for, you're going to have a really good service life. If you're going to use them hard and you spec up to the higher machine, I think you could equally get a really good lifetime. Okay, that's a ramble over. Andy, have we got any other questions for now, or should we move on to the next section?
No questions now, so move on to the next
Yeah,
section.
let's go. Okay, so we're on to the second section of rotary tools. What could it be? Well, it's going to be our cordless range. And just like we had with the corded machines, we've got a good range of cordless machines. The first one we're going to start off with, I'm going to start off with, is this
my favourite,
this little bad
yeah.
boy. Now this is, I guess you could call the cordless all-rounder. This is the DremelLite. We give it another, we call it the DremelLite, but it also has, we call it the 7760 as well. Okay, so what you've got here is you've got a 3.6 volt integral battery Dremel, nice and small. Again, very similar to the styluses. It's very similar to the Stylo.
Yeah.
It's obviously a little bigger. It's similar again to the FlexiShaft. It's very similar. If I grab the Micro, you can see where we got inspired by the original Micro, but now this one is 3.6 volt.
Similarly lightweight to the to the Stylo, but a bit heavier, but definitely more lighter than the 3000.
It's 0.2. It's 270 grams.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that it weighs very little, and again, it's extremely comfortable. Again, with the easy twist nose cone. Again, for your quick changes. This one has a simple sliding power wheel. The power selector, so off, and then you go up through the 4 speed settings. You barely hear that actually.
There we go.
Exactly. So that's go on the lowest setting, that is 8,000 RPM, up to on speed 4. There, you're up to that 25,000 RPM. So great versatility, running on a really nice cordless platform, and then you can see here. Hopefully, you can see on the back there. Yeah, it's just a little micro USB charger. Yeah. So providing you've got a outlet that's got enough power, you can charge that pretty much anywhere. I think you made a joke by saying you can go camping with it, take it with you on holiday.
Charge it in your car. Yeah.
You could, if you want to do a bit of creativity, if you wanted to do I think you said you had an influence.
Yeah, there's actually a maker who takes her light to different beaches, and she carves on pebbles, on stones. It's very calming. But I think you said not for the other people on the.
There might be other people on the beach that are a bit confused. They're trying to relax while you're sitting there engraving stones. But I can imagine it's quite nice to be able to take your hobby or your creative outlet, and you can take that with you abroad. Because again, this is the first point. With a cordless machine, you're not tethered to the wall. You can, if you want, you could do your dremeling right from the comfort of your garden or from the beach. So you've got great flexibility there. Now, from my perspective, I still use a corded Dremel. And I was making a joke to you earlier before this live stream that often I have to plug that into my kitchen outlet, and I feed it out through the living room, through the porch, and then I'm sat on the porch in my front garden doing my dremeling because I'm not allowed to do it inside because I'll make a mess. if I had a cordless machine, can I have a cordless machine? If I had a cordless machine, then I could literally just go into my garden and do it. But the thing is, I could easily just use it, but I just don't, and that's silly, isn't it?
It's silly, yeah. But the light especially, and as well with the other cordless tools that we'll be going through, it's that outdoors element that I find a lot of makers find quite attractive, because everyone that loves DIY loves getting outside with it, and especially with the mesh element. So it's just great that you don't have to worry about using that cable or where you're plugging it in.
Yep, okay, so now, suitable for, let's say, some of the lighter tasks, very good for creative, hobbyist, art projects, for example. You could do a little bit of light DIY, of course you could. However, if you really want to start working on some more serious stuff, then you probably want to look more at our cordless workhorse, our 8240. Now, have I got it here? 8240. Yep. Now, I'm going to get a few of these products out very quickly, and you'll see they're all very similar. So I'm just going to pop these all on the desk, and then I'll start talking about the machines. Because you can see when it comes to our, let's say, can I call these proper? Let's just say our more standard Dremel machines, they do look very similar, and they have very similar features, and we'll go through them. But the first one I want to have a look at is going to be the 8240 multi-tool. There we go, this one here. Now, one thing which you obviously noticed, it's bigger, okay, and it is running a external battery. So the Lite has an internal 3.6 volt battery. This and the other Dremels are all running on a 12 volt battery. There we go. Now, one thing you'll notice, if you are familiar with my face and some other products out there, this looks very familiar. If anything, very similar to the Bosch Professional 12 volt battery. And you'll be right in saying they're the same battery, which is great because Bosch make really great lithium-ion battery technology. The 12 volt platform is an excellent platform. And now that Dremel's using it, hey, it's all win-win. So 12 volt batteries, and you mentioned something earlier as well about the fact that having replaceable batteries is really good.
Well, yeah, so not only is it a great advantage that you've got one less tool that requires a different battery to say some of your Bosch tools, it's also great that the batteries can actually be changed when running low, meaning that you have a longer running time of using your tool. So once you've got that low battery warning, you can swap it out for one that's been ready on charge, and just really keep that continuous process going of your tool in action.
Yeah, it's something you don't realize that you're missing until you have that flexibility of having loads of batteries. You could have as many as you want. If you wanted to, you could literally be a busy bee working all day and just swapping those batteries out as you go along. When it comes to the controls, it's really straightforward, guys. It's no problems at all. You've got your speed wheel on the back here, okay? So you've got from 5,000 up to a maximum of, on this particular one, this one's saying it's 35,000 RPM on the wheel here. You've got your three LEDs, your battery gauge with 3 little LEDs, and you've got your simple on and off switch.
Yeah.
Okay. Just like before, you've got your easy twist nose cone for quick changes without having to worry about the spanner, and you've got your little tool clamp. Again, really great if you want to hang it up for storage, and again, if you're using the FlexiShaft, you can have the machine out of the way while you work. So really great.
I mean, one maker that we know of uses the handle when they're working outdoors, and especially since it's a cordless tool, when they take it outdoors and they specifically work on jewelry making, they use the hanger to hang it on branches and use the FlexiShaft for that more detailer use. So it's really a take it anywhere tool.
Now, I've got a slightly older machine here, just as a point of comparison. This is the 8220, and this was also a 12 volt machine. If you look closely, you might notice that it has a slightly different battery. Now there's been so we've moved away from this battery style and moved more towards the well, actually I could argue this is actually very similar to another Bosch battery, the Bosch DIY 12 volt battery shape, moving to this battery platform. So important to note that the new 8240 uses this new battery type. The performance difference between this machine and the 8220 was quite substantial, actually. So we actually got 20% better cutting performance with the new 8260 compared to the previous 8220. Not just from changing the battery style, which, oh, don't get me wrong, it did help.
Yeah.
But we obviously took the opportunity to make some great improvements to the internals and this machine itself. The 8240 does perform really well up against that 4250, the mains machine. So you could argue that this machine gives you basically corded performance.
Yeah.
Which is really great, because that's what you really want. You want the functionality of the 4250 is great, and you don't want to sacrifice that when you're going cordless. And we knew that we knew that when we produced this product, and that's something that I'm really happy that we made. We actually got, I think it's 20% more power on a cordless machine.
Yeah,
which
and
is really impressive.
It doesn't stop there, does it? I mean, moving on to the 8250, that definitely has a massive speed advantagement over the corded 4050, which as an all-rounder, the 4050, that has a lot of power, definitely drawing from its power mains. However, with this tool, it only gets better, really. Yeah,
actually. So that's a good point. Let's move on to some of the other machines. So the 82, let's do the 8260, for example. So this was, let's just grab that again. Okay, we changed the styling a little bit for this machine. Still in the market. I think we're moving through this. I think we're moving to another machine. The next machine coming up.
Discontinued, but there are some out there still.
Yeah, it was really worth talking about this machine because, this machine has this one.
Screen, well, the screen especially on it. I mean, having that digital view, it's just great, especially because this one was Bluetooth.
Yes, this one is Bluetooth connected. And I've just realised as I was talking about this machine that this was the machine that I was supposed to be comparing with the 82. Yeah, you probably noticed that I was misspeaking there. This is the machine that has the additional performance over the corded machine. I was sitting there thinking, oh, I've said something wrong here. Yes. So this is the one that has 20% more speed and performance. Yeah.
And being the first brushless motor that we actually came out with, I think that shows a lot of how the multi-tools are advancing, especially with newer ones coming out. But yeah, some of the advantages of the brushless motor. I mean, I think you've said before how with the 3000, with the motor, you would have to
change the brushes.
Yeah, change the brushes. But obviously with this being a brushless motor, that saves a lot of, would you say cleaning or?
Well, it's just, we call it maintenance free. It's a lot less hassle. So what you've got with a brushless machine is you've got a machine that basically will last its whole service life. So yes, the motor will probably outlast all the other parts of the machine, to be honest. And that is really great because sometimes all you want is just want a reliable tool to do the work and no fuss. So you mentioned this was obviously a connected machine. So this was something that we dabbled with a little bit, having a Dremel app. And it would allow you to get some feedback when using the tool. Sometimes if you're using this tool in a particularly difficult or challenging application, you might run the risk that the machine might stall, and you might be wondering, oh, why does it keep stalling, for example? And in the Dremel app, we were testing the idea of giving the user more feedback. So you could go into the app and you could check the tool status, and you could see if the machine maybe has overheated or if it was overloading, perhaps, and it would give you some feedback. What we decided to do is we realized that many people didn't really need that functionality. So we came out with this particular machine, which is a slight variation, and this is the 8250.
8250, yeah.
So you can see that cosmetically, it looks very similar to the 60 model, but we've done away with the connectivity. But a lot of that's based on feedback from the user, but we've kept the interface the same as we had on the 60. You've got your speed wheel, your LED indication, and your activation switch, which is the same as on 60 model. If I switch the machine on, you'll see this lights up, and maybe you'll be able to hear me over the volume. Let's just see. So you can have it on a really nice slow speed, and hopefully you can see on that screen you've got the little light showing exactly what setting you're on. As I scroll through, you'll see that there goes up through different speed settings. Another really great feature, if you heard it on the mic there, if it wasn't being taken away by the sound gate, brushless motor switches off really quick. And actually it's very nice and quiet actually. That's another thing that we rarely discuss with the brushless machines, that they are substantially quieter compared to the mains and some of the older battery tech machines.
And well, one other thing with this especially is just there you'll see a button which will flash red actually when the tool is being overloaded, which is just another great visual for you to know when you're maybe pushing your tool a bit too much.
Yeah, so I mean, if you apply too much weight, you are going to drain the battery,
Yeah.
but you could potentially damage the machine if you kept doing it. So great to have that little bit of feedback. And again, it's always an evolution. We're constantly taking feedback and improving the machines as we go along, and we hope to see that going into the future. So now you can see a really great range of cordless rotary tools. Let me get them in order. Okay. Shall I keep? I'll keep that one in there. Even though we've discontinued, you can see that we've got a really great range of 12-volt machines. But then I guess you could say we had our light for your surprise, surprise. That's your light duty work. Then we've got our workhorse in our 8240, and then we've got these two, which is our like you call it. Can we call it flagship? Top of the range. That's your all-rounder as well, with your 8260 and the 8250 models. So I think we did pretty okay today. I mean, we didn't take as long as we thought we were going to. Now, Andy, what should we do? Should we go? We could play a little video first on one of the machines, and then maybe we could come back, see if there's any more questions. And I think, Katie, you were thinking maybe if people want to see a little demonstration, we could probably do that before we finish the live stream. So let's play the video. So, like as if by magic, this massive block of wood has appeared in the studio. I thought, you know, we want to do a live stream, but we don't want to talk too. We did talk quite a lot.
A lot, yeah.
But we thought it might be beneficial for maybe a little bit of demonstration on. I mean, you're going to do a bit on the cordless. Maybe if you'll let me have a little play with the corded machine, I'll have a little bit on the wood here. But before while we're setting up here, I think Andy might have had maybe some final questions from our viewers, maybe. Yeah.
We do, yeah. Do some of the newer corded Dremels with dedicated power switch implemented soft start for the motor? For example, when you have max RPM set and turn it on with the power switch.
I mean, is it a soft start? It definitely speeds up, but I don't think we could technically call that a soft start. It's not necessary on a machine like this. So let's say no for the time being.
Next question is probably more for Katie. Would there be any chance of a step-by-step guide video series on using the Dremel for differing hobby tasks to aid the imagination of us users?
Yeah, well, absolutely. So if you look at any of Dremel UK social media platforms, if you look on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, any of the shorts or even longer videos, you will find plenty of creativity, plenty of ideas to help you be creative with Dremel. And it ranges from things like jewelry making. We work with some great influencers and makers that actually help give that beginner or introduction guide to certain tools. And we also go over into other categories such as DIY, and we give you lots of ideas for home decor or even just helpful here or there home improvements such as I don't know, you can do anything from cleaning your cutlery, or if you need to
I made a joke about polishing candlesticks.
Well,
Yes, I mean, yes, there's lots of there's lots of things you can do for sure. Okay, Andy, any more questions?
No, that's it for the moment.
Okay, so Katie, what are you up to? What are you destroying? What are you going to be creating here? It's one of those things that obviously there's loads of really great content, as you pointed out. Lots of great content that we produce for the channel.
Yeah.
Obviously, our makers make amazing products and content for us as well. That's something that we could do moving forward. Maybe we would have a live stream where maybe we would do maybe a project. Maybe we could do that live once we've shown you all the different products. And I think we did a good job of showing the rotary tools today. We just got a really simple demo. So you're gonna use the cordless machine.
So I'm going to be using the just launched 8250, and I'll be using this max carving accessory to carve down some wood, and just to show you the effect and how powerful that some of our max accessories can be. But first, PPE.
Now, I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I mean, maybe I will just cut one of these little bits of wood off. Are you going to use, I might steal your speed click back later at some point. I'll just use one of the discs here, and I'll get your, actually no, there it is.
Right there.
Yeah, thank you. And while you're playing with that, what are you cutting? I'll run a little dust extractor just to make your life a little easier. Or make the studio a little less messy. There's this weird pause and everyone's got really quiet because everyone's in anticipation for something to happen. While you're setting up the machine, I'm happy to ramble a little bit because obviously she hasn't got the spanner. I've stolen it here, so she's.
Well, I don't need the spanner, do I?
We forced you to use the nose, the easy nose, or easy twist. Now, a question to the audience as we're setting up. Hopefully this live stream has been it's interesting. Maybe it's been quite beneficial. I really enjoyed the history that you did. That was always good fun. Let us know whether or not you'd like us to do obviously another Dremel live stream. We've got plenty of products that we want to talk about. So again, feel free to pop any questions in the chat before we finish, or if you're watching this as a video after this live stream's finish going live and become a video, feel free to pop any of your questions or comments on where we should take the Dremel live stream in the future, and definitely we'll have a read of those and see if we can implement those. Maybe you want us to do more hands-on, who knows? Or what I can imagine is you've got plenty of people that want us to do more project-based things. So maybe we would have maybe we'd want to do so look here. There you go.
There we go.
Something that one of my colleagues mentioned earlier is sometimes when you are tightening the collet, you don't want to be too severe, because sometimes what you'll do is you could damage the collet, you could bend the internal collet. That's a good example there. Someone else has been playing with these Dremels and got a bit too enthusiastic. And sometimes you just need a little bit of pressure to open up the collet again. All good?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you're all good, right? So let me get all my bits on. I'm going to run a little dust extractor just to keep the studio a little bit clean. Otherwise, I won't get home, won't get to have my dinner because I'll be too busy vacuuming up all the mess. Okay, just a little demonstration with what bit have you got there?
So I've got a tung-side carving bit, which is actually one of our max accessories. So it has longer lasting performance, and it's just great for doing deeper cuts, especially with materials like wood. My glasses are fogging up. There you go. So as you can see, it definitely gives a engrove into the wood. If you want to move into taking out or removing more wood, you definitely move on to the, as what one of my colleagues calls the spiky pickle, I believe it is. Well, yeah, so this is also good for moving lots of wood material.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stainless steel accessory, really aggressive. Really surprising. That's a new one, relatively, is it?
Yeah, relatively new, yeah.
So I'm going to use just a basic cutting disc. And we always make jokes about working in the studio. If you've seen Danny and I from Bosch Professional, we always make jokes that we're in a studio. Wish we could do this from the workshop. Makes life a lot easier. Doing a demonstration on a tool with the demonstration facing away from us, so we're kind of leaning around, is never the most ideal. That's our excuse there. That's our excuse. But again, it does show how versatile the tool can be in difficult situations. Now I'm just going to do a little cut. I don't think I need a dust mask for this one. I think we'll be very quickly on this one. I'm just going to quickly set up. Now I would argue I'm going a little too fast. You can see the wood's burning a little bit. I could reduce the speed if I wanted to, but effortless. I mean,
Some would say like cutting cheese.
it's cutting cheese, yes. As an example, we've got a wide range of different accessories. I think that's a very simple demonstration, complete overkill for this tiny little demonstration you've got there. But we felt bad that we weren't going to at least use some of the tools during the live stream. So hopefully you've enjoyed today. Let us know if you would like to see some more of this. If you've got any feedback, maybe you say, I don't want to see the tools, talking about the tools, we just want to see them used. Let us know. Maybe what we'll do is we could film the next Dremel live from one of our workshops.
Yeah.
And again, maybe we could do a little project. Maybe, I mean, I'm not the most creative. I fix things or destroy things. You're probably a bit more creative than I.
Yeah.
And I've seen some very great stuff that you've been working in, some ceramic and some glass as well. So again, it's not always about working in metal and wood. Glass, it could be aluminium, it could be anything. So
innovation doesn't even stop with the multi-tools. It really carries on into our exciting new launches, which are the Dremel Blueprint tools. So these will be coming out end of June. So if you'd like to hear more about them or learn how these can kind of fit into your DIY and everyday life, definitely stay tuned for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we finish the live stream, Andy, who have we got? Any last comments or questions?
So we have one last question from James McArdle. It's a question we get a lot, so that's why I want to ask you guys before we sign off. But how long does a battery last?
Oh, I feel like this is another piece of string, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, it completely depends on what kind of application. Something that Katie was doing then, it was quite light, but it's it's not engraving. It's definitely more power hungry than if you were just engraving something into some wood. But if I was doing something more like a cutting application or a sanding application, you're going to get a lot less runtime out of your battery. What battery are you running? What did we have on that one? That was that's a 3 amp hour, so that's obviously one of the bigger capacity batteries. There are different batteries out there. It might be a 2 amp hour battery. You might be running some of the double layers, which is a 4 and 6, which you might be getting from the Bosch Professional range. So again, we always say piece of string, or as I say, horses for courses, for example. But I would argue you get really good runtime out of it. Always good to have 2 batteries, generally speaking, because you have one on the go, one charging, so you're basically continuously working. But I'll be surprised if you are continuously using the machine. Yes, you can drain a battery relatively quickly, but yeah, it completely depends on what you're doing. That's a very long political way of answering the question. We're going, depends. Okay, so look at that. Nearly an hour and a half. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this live stream. Again, if you want to see more, please let us know, and we'll definitely get on it. I don't know, when should we do another live stream? Maybe in a month or so, a few months maybe?
Yeah, in a month or so. And especially with the new Dremel blueprint tools coming out, which involves a multi-drill, which is a 3-in-1 drill driver, stud finder, and you've got a laser level. And we've also got a compact portable saw station. So lots of exciting things to hear about with Dremel.
Yeah, both those machines. Honestly, I think that's worth tuning into the next live stream alone, those two products. So, just about 6:30. I think we did okay. Hopefully we made it interesting.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much from myself. Katie?
Yeah, thank you so much for joining, and we hope you've really loved learning about Dremel and going through the range with us.
Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe.